Did anyone watch the Democratic National Convention day one and day two? We're in day two right now, and I think the convention is still going. I'm not watching it, and not just because it's the Democrats. I didn't watch the RNC either. I don't. I didn't watch the Republican National Convention either. I don't like political conventions. I I think they're a waste of time. Like it's just a lot of political theatrics, and I just don't care. It's when they anoint their presidential front runners, and I don't need 4 days of that, much less one. So I've watched neither one. So regardless of which side of the political spectrum you find yourself on, can we agree that these political national conventions are pointless and boring and a lot of theatrics? That's how I see it anyway. Like just thinking of it puts me to sleep, which probably isn't a bad idea because it's late. Late for me anyway. It's actually 10:48 p.m. here. That's late enough for me. So I don't see this going into a very long stream since I would probably need coffee to do so. And I'm not making any at 10:48 p.m. Suffice to say. But we can talk for a bit about this. Um, the topic or the title for this live stream is looking at the poll results. Do you think Kamala Harris is going to beat Donald Trump? The the results have them so recently the poll results have either shown them in a dead heat with each other or it shows Kamala Harris at a slightly ahead of Donald Trump. However, I think rational people would be quite hesitant to draw too many. What's up, Flutterby? I think reasonable people would be careful to draw too much inference from polls and political surveys because we know they're not very reliable, which is why in behavioral research, polls and surveys are often considered very weak forms of evidence for something. Usually, we use that as a starting point to gather sort of like information on where to start conducting research, but we don't consider polls and surveys to be the end all and be all of any sort of research on anything, whether political, social, economic, whatever. So, but yeah, I've seen some results where it shows Kamala at 50% and uh, Donald Trump at 46%. Um, I'm not even sure if that's statistically significant, especially since it's going by people's assertions to where they would vote and how people say they will vote and what they actually do when they're in the privacy of a voting booth are sometimes two different things. Not to mention, even if, let's say for the sake of argument, even if the polls were extraordinarily accurate towards how people were going to vote, and that Kamala Harris did have the had the numbers that were slightly ahead of Trump, and it was played out in the popular vote. The problem is the popular vote doesn't decide the election; the electoral vote does. Flutterby says polls can be manipulated too. Absolutely, absolutely. And now, to your point, Flutterby, also it becomes a self it can be self limiting because the polls are done based on where people are going to do these polls. So like if you're going, so the sort of people who would read the Washington Post, people who would fill out a poll done by the Washington Post and ABC News are going to be of a different sort of people who would do a poll for, like, say, Fox News or the Daily Wire, Blaze TV, stuff like that. So it can be it can there can be self-imposed biases depending on from where you do the poll or surveys. So that's the problem. Either way, I think we all know that it is going to be a close election, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see it. But this is going to be a very close election, and I don't think anyone can really call it at this point based on either polls or the current pulse of the electorate. Because right now, she obviously Harris is going to get a bump because of the the Democratic National Convention going on right now. It's going to give her a slight bump, just like I think Trump was experiencing a bump when they had the Republican National Convention last month. Peregrine took one of the uh, one of the hobbits actually said Hillary is better than Kamala. Depends on what you mean better at. Better at lying, more articulate, um, more experience. I don't know. Number one Funketeer says, and I'm exhausted with the Trump nonsense. Not sure which nonsense you were referring to. Flutterby says, better looking. Hillary better looking. I hope you don't mean you're saying Hillary's better looking than Kamala. I don't know about that one, bro. I I mean, to be sure, I don't find either one of them attractive, but Hillary more attractive. I've seen her in her younger days, and I can't really say that. I've seen Kamala in her younger years, and I guess because it was the 80s or whatever, but she had that short cut hair. It didn't look good on her. If anything, who did look good was her mom in her younger age. Her mom was pretty. Dion, if you don't ask me questions not dealing with the topic, put it in the super chat, my friend. I'm not here to talk about religious topics. Naw says Hillary not better looking. I'm piping down Cortez though. Oh yeah, I mean, come on, Naw. Everyone would, everyone would, everyone would smash AOC. Everyone would smash AOC. She was some little, she was some little fluffy looking ginger though. Sergeant says, "What's up? What's up, Sergeant?" Sergeant. Peregrine Took says, "We will unburden what has been." I'm not even sure what that means, dude. But yeah, so like I said, DNC is currently going on right now. It's receiving a lot of popular support because look, most of the entertainers are on the left, so they're going to get the best entertainers, the best like mouthpieces for them. And of course, Obama came to speak at the DNC convention today and yesterday. I believe I heard him on the TV when my grandmother was watching yesterday. She probably fell asleep watching it. And I think Michelle appeared as well. Could care less about either one of the Obamas, neither Barack nor his wife Michael. um, Definitely don't care about Hillary. When she came out, they were chanting "Lock him up, lock him up," and I'm like, okay, so you thought that was so problematic when they were talking about that with her, and she's doing the same thing. And I know people are gonna say, well, yeah, he was actually convicted of such and such, but she has some Let's be clear. She did some very sketchy legal stuff herself. It just they just refuse. They have refused to pursue it any farther, though. This is straight out of the horse's mouth. No. Says AOC got the potential to be the first fine presidential candidate. You mean as far as a female candidate? I'm guessing. Um, Possibly. I'm trying to think. Were there any other female presidential candidates that were objectively beautiful? Uh, well, Jill Stein, no. Hillary, no. Kamala, no. Um, Not the lady in the '70s. Wait. What about? What, you don't think maybe Tulsi Gabbard was attractive? Tulsi Gabbard, she's kind of attractive for her age, right? Trying trying to think if there was anyone else younger, but of course you have to be at least 35, which makes sense because again, since if when we were originally referring to men running as presidents, 35 is really when a man comes into his his like actual adulthood is like 35. So it makes sense that that's when they would want someone to run to be to be a candidate to be the most powerful person in the country is when they're actually mature, like mentally mature, which is for most guys is around 35. Not to mention these or like in the criminal justice system, a lot of these guys usually when it's either 30 and over or 35 and over tend to get put in separate I wanted to say lockup, but not lockup because they're all locked up. They're in separate what do you call them, tiers. They have the 35 and over crew in different tiers in the criminal justice system because they consider them less problematic than the younger ones. Like usually the 35 and over crowd are more chill. They're just trying to do their bid and go home, assuming they're going home. But yeah, the 35 and over are usually the chill group, so they get to stay on a separate tier away from the younger men who are tend to be more problematic because they're more mature. And unfortunately for women at that age, they kind of start to curdle a little bit, um, unless they're Asian. Asians stay fine for a while, but Asian don't raisin. Like they like to say, they say Asian doesn't raisin. um, I, and I've actually predicted this on previous live streams and in my real life talking to people off camera. I said that she is very likely that either she's gonna run or there's gonna be people in her ear telling her she should run in 2028. We'll see. I can't say if she'll be the prettiest one though. Possibly though. Possibly. No, says I think that would change the landscape of the world with having a pretty presidential candidate. Maybe. Peregrine Took says Kamala's mouth. when she yeah, you saying like when she laughs, she does laugh like a horse. It's very jarring to hear her laugh. Sargent says Kamala doesn't make great statements. To me, she's opposite on everything I want to see. I kind of agree with that. There's nothing about her that would make even if I were a Democrat and I'm not, I'm an independent, but even if I were like a card carrying Democrat, there's not much that would make me want to vote for her unless it was purely out of party loyalty. But again, I'm not even a Democrat, so there's not even that incentive for me. Sarin says if she gets into If she gets in, then I'm convinced it's rigged because I don't know. To me, it seems like she should not be so liked. So it's a lot of factors going into why she's so popular right now, sorry. And I can't pretend to know them all, but one is that she's the Democratic candidate. Obviously, half the half the country is politically divided. The second is for people who just hate Trump. They'll literally take anyone over him. Uh, third is she has she has the identity politics on her side. She's a woman. She's of mixed race. She's the first so-called black, even though she's not really black, and she's the first Indian. Um, Although let's be clear, a lot of people in the Indian community don't claim her. Um, then she had, like I said, she has a lot of corporate donors, people who are like the anybody but Trump crew. There's a huge donor base for those sort of folks. Like even in the Republican base, there were people funding at the time. Nikki, what's her name? Nikki. The other fake Indian woman. Well, uh, she had a lot of corporate backers when she was running in the primaries against Trump because again, there's a lot of conservatives who are anti-Trump. The reason why a lot of conservatives, and I'm not talking about the voters, I'm talking about the people, the political insiders, and the corporate donors. A lot. The reason why a lot of them are against him is because he's a bit of an iconoclast. Like he's not gonna fit neatly into just being your neocon type of president like George Bush was, and he's not gonna be one of those more paleo conservative type candidates like Reagan was. So because and he will do certain things that will align more closely with a democratic or liberal uh, views. So a lot of them don't like him. Plus, some of them don't think he can be trusted. They don't they under they they think that his mindset isn't very robust. I think that's a nice way to put it when they refer to Trump. So there's a huge base for like never Trumpers who who even though maybe card carrying Republicans would vote for Kamala just to keep Trump from winning. And this happened last election, 2020. There were a bunch of Republicans who jumped ship. Um, some of them changed to Democrat, card carrying Democrat, whereas others still stayed Republican, but voted for Biden back in 2020 because they thought that Trump was such a risk. Excuse me, but uh, I don't see why she's so well liked either. And that's the part I don't like because personally, I just don't find her a good. I don't like her as a person. Put it that way. Aaron says Tulsi was cute. Not gonna lie, it doesn't saying. People forget Tulsi. Only thing Tulsi had the little tuft of gray hair right here, but Tulsi was kind of cute. Oh, here's another one people thought was somewhat attractive, if not even though they thought she was completely stupid. A lot of people were attracted to Sarah Palin. Y'all forgot about Sarah Palin, right? A lot of people thought Sarah Palin was attractive. Did I? Not really. Maybe if she took off the glasses, she would probably look more attractive, but she wasn't ugly. I'll say that. But and she didn't run as president. She ran, as vice president. But people might say she was attractive. Yeah. No, no, no. Says I'll take Tulsi down. He says black doesn't crack too, though. Absolutely. So that's why that's a way to. So I just gave you game. That's the way you flirt with Asians. Be like, you can be like, yeah, there's a saying, black doesn't crack, and see if the girl responds, and if she doesn't, if she doesn't know the whole Asian joke, you could be like, but I also heard Asian doesn't raisin, so we sound like a good combination. Flattery says, "Oh yeah, we don't curdle." Excuse me. Michael Corleone says, "Oh, shit, Obama." Is he on right now? I don't know. I know he's supposed to appear. Like when I was at the gym, they had on. They keep all the news channels on. Well, all the major three: MSNBC, Fox, CNN. I think sometimes they also play like CNBC, and then they have the local stations on like ABC, CBS, and NBC. Um, I know he's supposed to do another appearance today at the Democratic convention. Again, I'm not watching political conventions on either side because it's just a bunch of theatrics and they're kind of boring. Michael Corleone says Trump is the only one that won't lay down and do what they say. Exactly, and that's why I'm saying there are a bunch of people who are never Trumpers, even though they're conservatives and card-carrying Republicans, because they're the neoliberal establishment. Both Bernie and Trump back in 2016 were disliked by their political bases because they both are anti-establishment or were anti-establishment candidates. That's why within the Democratic base back in 2016, you literally had people saying from the Democratic side that if Bernie became the front runner, they would throw their support to Trump just to make ensure that Bernie doesn't win. Like seriously, you would throw your support to the Republican candidate whom you claim to also dislike because you don't want an anti-establishment person like Bernie to win. Okay, so and then on the same then when in the same token, on the Republican side, there were a bunch of people who were mad that they knew they couldn't control Trump like some of these other candidates. One, because he's a billionaire, so he doesn't need to shuck and jive to ensure that they're you know um, giving him his due support. Shelby Hambright says Trump 2024. Key Lime says the border crisis alone is enough to get rid of Harris. You would think, you would think that would be the case, Key Lime, but nah. First of all, they're trying to they're using Orwellian tactics and saying that she wasn't the border czar when the mainstream media themselves had dubbed her the border czar back then. I don't know if that was her official title within the administration, but that was how she was being referred to by the media at the time. And now those very same people in the media were saying that she was never a border czar. Like I said, they're using Orwellian tactics at this point. No, no, no. It says Sarah Palin can't get none from me. I don't know. Like if you remember her back in when was that 2008 or 2012 they ran against them. I think that was that 2012. I mean, not 2012. I'm sorry. I guess that was 2008. Either way, I can't remember. It was 2008, 2012. Back then she didn't look that bad. Like I never found her attractive, and her little Alaskan accent wasn't I didn't find appealing either. But if you took off those big ass thick bifocals she wore, she wasn't that ugly. She sort of had like a a House on the Prairies type beauty, but and if you're too young to know what House on the Prairie is, don't even worry about it. But she had a very, I guess, homely sort of attractiveness. Sarden says Palin had a look for sure, not my type, but I could see it for a lot of folks. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like she wasn't ugly, but it wasn't my cup of tea. But I could see her appealing to a lot of like guys in Middle America might find her look attractive. Uh, Flurby says looking from outside, being in the UK, Trump is a mistake, but only because he's seen as a joke and only good for memes. Well, you gotta remember though, Flutterby, Joe Biden was known as nothing but memes for a while. They all like they his memes had become so popular back in the 2010s that there was a name for them. They used to call them dank Biden memes. Like when Obama was in his last 4 years of office, from 2012 to 2016, um, that's when all these memes about Biden like came about, and they were seriously funny. Like for 4 years, we had some of the funniest political memes, and most of them were about Joe Biden at the time. Because even back then, we knew there was something mentally off about the man, that he was showing like some he was having these little mental slips that you expect of elderly people. But he was like in his late 60s, early 70s at the time, and no, he I mean, well, he was in his 70s at the time, but he was still sharp enough that his verbal gaffes were considered off-putting, whereas now we expect it. But yeah, Biden was very meme worthy, and he became president. So maybe that's the test nowadays is that you have to be meme worthy. Trump win term says a lot of people, I included, think what Trump did on January 6th is the big deal breaker, and I 100% agree with them. If that's your view, that's fine. I don't agree, but I can understand that. Sean says banned from the UK, not to say anything bad, but we just have way more freedoms that are crucial here in the US that people like Trump fight for. The UK can't imagine having half the stuff we enjoy. I have to agree with some of that too as well, Sarin, because I mean I'm agreeing with you, Sarin, because they don't have the same they don't have the same protected speech that we have here. Like freedom of speech here, I mean the freedom of their freedom of speech is quite limited over there. We have more robust freedom of speech here, even though progressives want to actually tamp down on our freedom of speech. You would think progressives would be the very people, progressives and liberals would be the very people to protect freedom of speech, but they're not, because they believe it's freedom of speech until you talk about a protected group like the LGBTQ community, particularly the trans community. Like, if you say anything against them, it's tantamount to inciting violence. When did that become the thing? Like, that's crazy. So yeah, we enjoy better. Well, we enjoy more robust freedom of speech than the UK does, and I'm sure if we picked our minds enough, we could look at some other things too. Oh, here's another one. Freedom, freedom of religious expression. Like over there, they still have the Church of England is still the official religion of of the UK. Um, However, I, for in an ironic twist, the places where they tend to have like Uh, State-sponsored religions are often also places where people often are less religious. So go figure that a place that actually has religious freedom is actually has higher religiosity than places where there's not freedom freedom of religion in the same way we have it here. So those are just two examples, though. Dang, Powerpuff Princess is going hard at the UK. She says, "F the UK. They can't even stop the damn boats." Flutterby says, "No meme, no vote." Right. I think if you're meme worthy, you're probably in a good position to become a president. Like when Trump got elected, there was even a meme going on about Mike Pence that said, "You," where it was like Trump like talking to Pence, and he was like, "Your memes better be as dank as Biden." Dank is a slang word, obviously referring to something that's very cool but risque or whatever, however you want to put it. Um, but yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I think it's too close to call, even if even if the polls do show Harris at a slight advantage to Trump. I think it's still too close to call. I don't think the slight advantage that you see her with in the polls is statistically significant. And when I talk about statistically significant, we often, at least in behavioral research, although it's changing because of the failures of the behavior research from 11 years ago, showing that a lot of the research can't be replicated. But that's a whole topic for another day that I mentioned, uh, I believe, yesterday in another live stream talking about the mind and stuff like that. But in any case, usually say uh, p less than 0.05, which is the probability estimate that the results you received aren't due to some sort of method, um, research error, methodological error, whatever. Um, it's less than a 95% chance. I mean, sorry, there's greater than a 95% chance that the results you received are not due to research error, whatever, whatever. However you want to phrase it. I might have to grab some water soon, guys. I'm starting to run out. Wise up 76. What's up, broski? What's going on, man? So, asking people if they've watched the DNC either yesterday or watching it today, right now. And if so, do they think that Kamala is going to beat Donald Trump, looking at the current boost in morale for her and her campaign because of the Democratic convention going on right now. And I think it's going to go on for 4 days because I remember the Republican National Convention went on for like 4 days, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they will probably drag this on for 2 more days as well. And I don't watch either one, Republican convention or the Democratic convention, because they're boring and they're filled with a lot of theatrics. Follow the way says, does it really matter though? Does what really matter? if you're talking about the current topic, yeah, it matters to a lot of people. Actually, it does matter who wins. Yes, it does. Here's why: the the two of them have very different leanings on how they want to deal with the current issues that this country faces. We're having economic issues. We're having immigration issues. We're having national security issues. We we have ourselves both financially and military enmeshed in three proxy wars going on across the world with three with people that we don't want to get too far entangled with. You have the whole Iran versus Hamas, I mean, Israel versus Hamas thing going on, but the Hamas thing is being bolstered by people from Hezbollah um, to Iran and dealing with other countries within the Middle East is going to make it a it's making it a whole regional crisis. Then we have the Ukraine Russian war. We don't want if we get too far enmeshed in that, it can lead to war against us and not just Ukraine. And we're talking with a nuclear powered adversary, one whom we have spent like 50 years in a Cold War with up until 1991. Um, then we have the issues with China and Taiwan. China, another nuclear powered country, we do not want to get into a physical. We're currently in a Cold War with China. We don't want that to turn warm. So yes, who wins very much matters to a lot of us. Uh, Flutterby says basic statistics and studies are different. Um, as I'm sorry, let me say this correct. So basic statistics and studied statistics are different, as studied statistics are with limited amount of people over longer periods of time. That's how I know it to be, anyways, and completely different to politics. Follow the way says well put. Okay, I thought you disagree with me. Follow the way, but yeah, who wins very much matters right now. So I'm not saying people need to be following this 24-hour election coverage. I'm not saying that at all. Live your lives. Don't be drowned in a wash of election coverage. What I'm saying is that the candidate who wins does matter because they have very different ways of looking at solving our current social problems. So it matters. Um, and then, like I was saying, the current polls show Harris slightly ahead of Trump, but let's look at it this way. Since I've already talked about this, let's say that her the difference in her lead against Trump actually was statistically significant. Even if that were the case, we still can't draw too much inference from polls because, like I said, polls depend on where they are taken. They become um, self-limiting because the people it'll be biased towards the sort of people who delve into the content from where the poll was taken anyway. So, like I said, if it was a Washington ABC News poll, it's gonna have different, a more left leaning crowd answering the poll. Whereas if it was a poll taken by someone like from people in Fox News and like the Daily Wire and Blaze TV, it's gonna have more conservative leaning viewers. So the answers are gonna differ as well. Sargent says, I think Kamala will do the same thing I mentioned above. Let me read, get a quick relook at that. Yeah, but you might be right, sorry. Chad says, yo, shout out to my lord. Okay. Wise Up 786 says, who are these independents? I'm an independent. I've been an independent for like at least 12 years, if not longer. Independent doesn't mean you don't lean one way or the other. Like you can be a left leaning independent, or you can be a right leaning independent, or you could be a centrist. A lot of the centrists are leaving both parties and becoming independents. Um, and independent doesn't mean you don't have your mind made up on which candidate you like. Independent just means you refuse to be either a card carrying Democrat nor a card carrying Republican. And for me, that's important because I don't think you can critically, not that you can't, it would be harder to critically think about political political phenomena, whether we're talking about elections, ideologies, so forth. It'll be hard to be objective about that if you're partisan. Flutterby says it's all theatrical sparkles and jazz hands down. It probably is. I know they're gonna have Patti LaBelle perform tonight. As much as I like Patti LaBelle, I'm not interested. I'm cool. I got to enjoy seeing her actually sing at the back 2 years ago when they were still doing the thing on Instagram with the versus TV. Matthews VG says, got any thoughts on Trudeau in Canada? Seems pretty likely he will be gone in next election, 2025. No, I'm sorry, I don't know enough about what's going on with Justin Trudeau to know what what's the likelihood of his next election. But I'm open to hearing about it. Follow the way says libertarian here. So again, now everyone's a Democratic Republic or a Republican. Some of us are independents. Some of us are libertarians. There's people who are part of the Green Party as well. So they're Greens. I was once part of the Green Party. There's the Reform Party. There's a party I think is called the Conservative Party, but they don't have connection. They're not connected to the Republicans. I think they just call themselves the Conservative Party. Follower of the way says you mentioned wars a minute ago. How do you see that playing out with each candidate? I can't really say. So I think both candidates are in support of Israel. However, um, Kamala has been trying to play both sides of the fence when it comes to the Israel Palestinian conflict. And you can't play it both ways. But this comes from a whole strategy within the Democratic base going back to Bill Clinton back in what, like 92, the whole sort of triangulation thing. I think that's what she's trying to do when it comes to how she addresses the issues with Israel and Palestine. When it comes to Russia and Ukraine, it seems most people on the left are hardcore Ukrainian supporters. Although it's a mixed bag, you have those on the right as well. So I'm not sure if it's a partisan issue so much as an issue of how you view people who um, I don't know. But I know that well, actually, I'm pretty sure Trump wouldn't be in support of Ukraine like the Democrats would be. And as far as China and Taiwan, I'm not sure either with that. I think both of them would be more pro Taiwanese and throw their support with them financially and continuing to offer them um, military military vehicles and other infrastructure. Not to mention having them join in the war games that we're doing with like the Philippines and other invited people like the UK, Australia. Who else came to train with us with the American military? So it was in the Philippines. So it was a joint exercise between the U.S. and the Philippines, and then they had some observers. They had some people who just came in as observers, whereas others were actually part of the joint exercise as well. I think it was South Korea. South Korea came in, Japan came in, Australia came in, and I think the UK just observed, or they may have taken part as well. I'm not sure, but I can't exactly say how they each candidate will handle these proxy wars we're in. But like I said, the Democrats would be more leaning towards supporting Ukraine and using this as an excuse to like deal a serious blow to Russia, whereas Trump would not be that gung ho about it. So I really couldn't predict it, to be honest. Follower says would be nice if we didn't have red versus blue tribalism. I know it's basically the American version of the Whigs versus the Tories, like in the UK. However, I will say this: our political tribalism is not as bad as it is in some other countries. So in some of these underdeveloped countries, like Jamaica, and yeah, I said it, Jamaica's an undeveloped country. Sue me. Actually, don't sue me, but whatever. Like back in like the 60s and 70s, even today, they have political gangs. Like these candidates in Jamaica and other parts of the world will actually hire these hooligans to to um to badger people to get them to the polls to vote for them, and it can erupt in violence when both that person and their rivals all have these little young rowdy guys like that they've thrown like money to or support or whatever, riding with them, so they become political gangs. So at least we don't have it that bad here with our tribe, with our political tribalism. Cody says Jamaica's an island. Yes, Jamaica's an island, but it's also a sovereign nation. It's part of the British Commonwealth, and they won their independence from Britain back in the 70s, I believe. Or no, it was either late 60s, early 70s. So they are a sovereign nation, but they're also part of the British Commonwealth. And they're pretty rough there, Cody. Cody, he says, and I hate the ocean. Ha ha ha, that's all. Well, it sucks to be you because I couldn't be stuck here in America or wherever you are. I need to travel. The oceans don't prevent me from traveling. Ah. By the way, guys, speaking of traveling, I just uploaded a video like about an hour ago talking about problems within the passport bro movement with the appearance of being sex tourists and why some of these guys do this. While whereas I do consider myself part of that movement, I can acknowledge this. A lot of the guys within that movement do deserve to get some clowning. But if you want to know more, just check out the video. It is uploaded. And I think the topic is what did I call it? Passport bros, leftover foreign women, quote unquote, and bad choices. So if you want, you can check that out. That gets more into some views I had espoused with a friend on overseas traveling. But I love overseas traveling though. Best thing there is. Flubby says, "Love you long time." I didn't even get into that because that's like the Vietnamese thing. But I think I did talk about that in the previous video with someone. It might have been with Miss Needle, and she has agreed to be my moderator too. So she'll be helping me moderate from now on when she's online. That is, I mean, when she on my live streams because she's not always available. But when she is, she'll help me out a bit. Um, but I did basically mention to her that that quote comes from the movie Full Metal Jacket, and a lot of Asian women hate it because it seemed like that movie set them back like 20 years when it came out. Cody says, "I guess I have too much anxiety to live on an island." You wouldn't really know you're on an island though. It's not that tiny. I mean, if anything, you could look at the U.S. as Turtle Island, according to like what some natives used to call it, Turtle Island, because of its shape. The continental U.S. If you look at the shape, they refer to as Turtle Island. Or if you live, I don't know where you live. I'm assuming you don't live in New York City because if you lived in New York City, unless you lived in the Bronx, every part of New York City is an island except for the northern the northern part of the Bronx. And there's other parts of America, like the Florida Keys. Those are islands, different islands off of both North and South Carolina, off of Texas, off of California, off of Maine, and so forth. Cody says a turtle's way better than an island. Um, haha, no Adirondacks. Well, they called it Turtle Island because, like I said, if you separate it from Canada and Mexico, it gives it a turtle look shape, roughly. And excuse me. And yeah, like I've lived on islands. I lived in the Philippines. Again, you can barely. There's other than going to the beach, you don't realize you're on an island. I think your perception of an island is like where you can walk from one end to the next, and these places aren't that small. Um, but besides the whole thing of showing who's in the lead with whom when it comes to Harris and Trump, they forget there's third party candidates out there who can be particular spoilers. RFK Jr. might be a spoiler to Harris because votes that might have went to her might go instead to RFK Jr. because one, he's a guy, two, he's white. I'm just gonna get those out of there. I don't think those are the major reasons, but if I don't acknowledge those, people won't think I'm being serious. But yeah, obviously because RFK Jr. is a white male, he's gonna have some advantages over Kamala Harris. Um, and there's other third party candidates out there. Like if someone is very left leaning, progressive, they might support Jill Stein in the Green Party. She's running again. I believe Cornel West is still in the off is still running for office, but he's just hasn't put up any stuff I've seen and um, to show that he still wants to win. But anyway, uh, Cody says bring out a little bit of werewolf fur on J, JFK LOL to attack. Yeah, I mean he's RFK can be a bit quirky, but like I said, he could be a spoiler candidate for this election. Like the way that Ralph Nader was said to be back during the Gore Bush years. They said Ralph Nader took the votes that could have went to Al Gore. I was like, or another way of looking at it is, if he wasn't there, people just a lot of those people wouldn't have voted at all. So we'll see. But what do you guys think? Because I'm about to wrap it up soon. I hope you guys were able to enjoy the samurai meditation music in the background. If you can, I'm sorry I didn't want to turn it up too loud because I thought it would be drowning out the sound here on the channel. Maybe make sure I didn't miss anything. That was a lot of stuff to scroll through just now. Oh, you can hear the background sound. Flutterby, thanks. It's like I said, it's one of those little AI generated musics. It's called "Getting Up After Failure," Samurai Zen with Japanese flute music. But yeah, I'm glad people can actually hear it in the background. I wasn't sure if you could because from talking, I just kind of drowned out the music. Follow the way says get some rest. You earned a sub. Appreciate it. Thank you. Um, like I said, I think the Democratic National Convention just ended. It's what 11:44 now, so 11:44 here Eastern Standard Time. So it's about 16 minutes away from midnight, and they were still going. I think they were still going strong. Like I said, who was that excited about political theatrics, whether you're talking about Republican or Democrat, that you would stay up the whole night just to see that crap? We already know that she's been anointed as the front runner because they never allowed the primary. So what is even the point of all of this? It's just pure theatrics to me because they're still having like all these states come up and give their number of delegates and they tell people their votes and the number of delegates they're giving. Like at this point, all of this is formality because they already decided uh, a priori that she was going to be the front runner. Cody D says they scare me from watching, and 1/4 of us all. Okay, but yeah, yeah. Like I said, I don't watch either convention because they both seem boring. Like I said, it would be nice if these third party candidates, if their respective parties that they've joined, um, if they did something like that too. Um, but yeah, can you imagine like the Green Party having like a convention with them? Since they're small, it'd probably only be one day, but I'm fine with that. I'd rather have one day than four drawn out days. So they don't have money. Yeah, but if they had the right support from mainstream media, that wouldn't really be an issue. They could probably do some sort of like minor convention, not on the same grand scale as the big two, but at least if they did it, they could start building from that and um, have the resources to probably help their candidate. Cody says, have 10 raspberry biscuits together before the show. And they all say, let it roll in a big circle. Follower of the Way says, the crux of it all is mainstream media. Yeah, like I said, so the Libertarian Party could have like they could have a convention. The Reform Party could have a convention. The Green Party could have a convention. The American Conservative Party could have a convention. They're pretty tiny though. And some of these other ones that I didn't mention as well. But yeah, guys, I'm about to end it because I'm just very tired, as you can tell. And like I said, I think hearing the convention has gave me some lethargy. Is it lethargy or lethargy? I'm not sure how you pronounce that. I know how to say lethargic, but I don't know if it's lethargy or lethargy. You can put that in the comments. But yeah, I'm kind of sick to my stomach. All these the wrong people get support and others do not. But okay. Anywho, guys, I'm gonna finish this water and I'm gonna go to sleep. You guys, I will catch you later. You can catch all of this when this is rebroadcasted once I upload it, and you can leave comments. I answer all my comments unless they're like really off the wall or inappropriate. I usually answer them. Um, you can sign up for membership. With my memberships, I'll drop some exclusive content. Like today, I dropped some stuff in my community tabs. So I will have exclusive perks for members. Or you can drop me a super thanks. But in any case, leave me a like and a subscribe. That means a lot. And just folks watching will give me enough public watchable hours so that I can go on and get some ad revenue too. That's always good. So I can buy Mrs. Contrarian some more camping equipment and I can buy me some more fruit snacks. You said we're not getting some sleep about an hour ago? No. Um, Maybe I was talking with my eyes half shut like this, but I wasn't. But I wasn't asleep. An hour ago, what was I doing? Oh no, I just finished eating and washing up because I came back from the gym, and then I shot that video with my friend earlier talking about the passport bros and stuff like that. So I haven't had any. So I haven't slept since this morning, but about to now. But yeah, like I said, guys, you can catch the rest of this in the rebroadcast once I upload it, or like I said, if you have been rocking through this all this time and wanted to answer me some questions, but too late to do so here on the live stream, leave it in the comments. I'll answer it. And it can be, about the Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump thing or whatever, if it's something sort of relevant to this video. All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks everyone for rocking with me. Thanks, Flutter B. As you can see, guys, if you look at his logo and towards his YouTube screen name, where you see that icon next to his name that showed that he's a member. So if you want to become a member too, the links are available in the description, and when I upload this video, you can look at that too to get to the part where it shows you how to sign up for memberships. Very easy, very easy. So, all right, I'm gone. So, probably have a longer stream tomorrow. I should be having Mrs. Needle back. For you guys who don't know, she's a German musician. I did a previous live stream with her last week. She's coming back, and she's also gonna be one of my moderators. So I'm gonna talk with her again, and we're gonna talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Right on. That's like, yeah. So we're gonna. That's what that would be. The that is the supposed to be the topic for tomorrow. And it's going to be earlier though. It won't be this late. It's going to be earlier during the day. So hopefully you get to goof around at work where you can put on something not remotely related to work while you're working, especially if you're working remotely from home. Probably a good possibility. Flutterby says I'm green because I'm a member. I'm also female. Wait, I didn't know that, Flutterby. This whole time I'm wow, I'm sorry. This whole time I'm thinking you're male and you're female. I'm so sorry. I definitely apologize. But yeah, again, Flutterby is a member, guys. So if you want to know more about a membership, you can ask her what she did, or like I said, you can just do what she did and sign up for the membership on my um, at the description of my channel. And I think there may be something here too when you look at the options for liking the channel and super thanks and saving a video or sharing a video. I think it should also be a little icon you click on that for membership as well. But yeah, again, I apologize for the B. So now I'm gonna have to go back to your comments and check out your avatar. Same thing like with Miss Needle. Well, I knew she was a woman, but I so but it's like I didn't know she was German. I didn't know she was pretty until but I kept hearing people say something about her profile pic that she was pretty. I'm like, oh, okay, but I never looked at it. But yeah, I'm gonna have some more exclusive content for members like you coming up. So um, I think I might do a members only martial arts workout. So I did promise everyone I would last year that I was gonna do a martial arts workout video. So I'm still gonna do that for everyone, but I'm gonna load a different workout video for just my members and other exclusive content. All right, but anyway, guys, I appreciate it. Again, if you have any thoughts on the Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump thing, looking at the poll where it either shows them at neck to neck with each other or show Kamala with a slight advantage, then if you want to talk about that, go ahead and leave it in the chat and well in the comment section. All right, appreciate it, guys. I'm out now. Take care. Have a great evening or a great day or a great morning, depending on what time zone you're currently in. All right, thank you, guys. Take care.